just trying to survive, and learn to love along the way, by Foreplay on AO3. Episode 39, Chapter 39, Of Fears and Forests. Izuku wakes up feeling refreshed. Sleep is something he missed so dearly the past few days, and he's glad he finally got to catch up a little. He glances at his phone and panics. He only has a few minutes to get ready and back to the training field. He gets ready faster than he thought was possible and sprints to the field. Noting that he's the last one to arrive, a few of his classmates give him odd looks, but no one says anything as his dad starts them on their morning run. They've definitely upped the pace from yesterday, and Izuku is grateful for the full night's sleep. He's out of breath, and he doesn't feel like he's going to pass out. They've hardly got any instructions today, being told they're continuing exactly what they're doing yesterday. As he walks over to where he was working with Tiger, Izuku spots Kaminari following his dad over the clearing they were in yesterday. Kaminari looks nervous, but he also got an excited grin on his face. Tiger works on him harder than he did yesterday, but Izuku also does so much better than he did before. He's a lot more focused, and he feels more comfortable with pushing the limits of One for All. He manages to push it up a few percentages before his body starts screaming at him to stop. It's a struggle to even move at this point. Tone it down a little. We'll work on some more punches and kicks today. Izuku does as he's told, and brings his quirk down to a more manageable level. He's soaked in sweat by the time lunch rolls around, and he's grinning. Today is going really well for him. Kirishima is the first to join him at the table today, sitting directly across from him, and Izuku can hardly contain his surprise. Usually he'd be sitting with Bakugou. So, why were you sleeping in Aizawa's room last night? We got pretty worried, so I went to find him and found you there. The words are whispered, Kirishima leaning in close so no one else hears. The other boy has nothing but curiosity on his face, so Izuku opts to go with the truth. People will learn eventually once his name change goes through with the adoption. It's because he's my dad. He's in the process of adopting me. Kaminari looks surprised for a minute before nodding to himself. That actually makes a lot of sense. Does this mean we'll have to call you Aizawa? Could get confusing. Izuku hadn't thought of that. Things could get really weird if people started calling him that. You can just call me Izuku. Sounds good, Izuku. Kirishima smiles brightly at him before turning to his food. Their peaceful silence is interrupted by the sound of a plate being placed on the table. Izuku looks up to find Bakugou sitting into a seat next to Kirishima, sitting close to the other boy. Izuku raises his brow in surprise, but doesn't say anything. Kirishima doesn't seem uncomfortable with the proximity. In fact, he leans closer to Bakugou, who doesn't retaliate at the contact. Izuku meets Bakugou's eyes, but he doesn't find the usual glare aimed in his direction. Their stare is interrupted by Hitoshi sitting beside Izuku and leveling a look at Bakugou. So, you're joining the group now? Fuck off, eyebags. Hitoshi proceeds to ignore the other boy, and the only sounds from the side of the table are Kirishima's hush whispering and Bakugou's grunt replies for the rest of the lunch break. It's over fairly quickly, and Izuku heads over to the training spot he and his dad had used yesterday. He doesn't speak, just throws his scarf and demonstrates a few moves. Izuku works through the first few fairly well, but every new move his dad teaches him takes him longer and longer to understand. Before he knows it, it's a few hours have passed, and shows him an extra complicated move that ends with him hanging upside down from a tree, limbs all trapped to his body. His dad bursts out laughing, while Izuku hangs there, pouting. The laughter draws out Vlad King, and soon he has two pro heroes laughing in his face. Admittedly, it is pretty funny, but Izuku would much rather be right side up. His dad takes in an expression and finally reaches forward to help, while Vlad King just watches on. It's not until Izuku has both feet firmly on the ground before the other pro speaks. I was sent to get you guys for dinner. They both nod at him, and the trio makes their way back to the rest of the class in silence. Preparations are in full swing, so Izuku doesn't end up doing much to help the others cook. He's not much of a cook anyways, so it's probably better that the others handle the complicated stuff. Once everything is ready, Izuku sits himself down beside Hitoshi. His friend looks exhausted, mirroring how Izuku feels himself. He helps out more with the cleanup, washing as many dishes as he can before briefing. Their time is up, and their class is led closer to the forest. Tonight, we'll be doing the test of courage. Class 1A versus Class 1B. You will be paired up randomly with your classmates before I explain the exercise. Ragdoll calls their attention to the front. She produces a hat, and everyone starts lining up to pull numbers. Well, almost everyone. Once Ragdoll had everyone form lines, his dad had rounded up Kirishima, Mina, Sato, Sero, and Kaminari, and started dragging them back to their cabin for the extra lessons. Alright, heroes. First, we'll have 1B hiding in the forest, trying to scare the pair of 1A kids. When I yell out your number, you'll come forward and head into the forest with your partner. Let's start with number 1. Ragdoll goes through the numbers, calling out a new one each few minutes. There are a few screams and odd noises coming from inside the forest, making the students waiting their turn all the more nervous. Number 7! That's him. And apparently Kacchan. The glare the other boys sends him is less heated than usual as they make their way into the forest. The first few minutes are silent, the only sounds coming from 1B trying to scare them. Listen, Midoriya. Kacchan hasn't called him by his name in years. Izuku looks at him and finds him frowning. Not even at Izuku, it's more self-directed. What's up, Kacchan? Damn, he did not mean to call him that. Izuku braces himself for an explosion, but all he gets is a sigh from the other boy. I need to apologize. What? Don't fucking interrupt me. That's more like the Kacchan he knows. Sorry. Kacchan just frowns and keeps walking. I was a real dick in middle school. I need to explain why. Kacchan hesitates before stopping and turning towards Izuku. I knew about what Inko was doing to you. I even told the old hag, but she didn't believe me. Then why did you keep hurting me? Kacchan's growl at the interruption, but says nothing about it. I don't know. In some fucked up way, I was trying to protect you. I thought if you showed up at home hurt, then she wouldn't hurt you more. Look how fucking wrong I was. I did a lot of stupid shit back then. Like hanging out with those losers. I don't know how to stop them from hurting you, so I tried to make it seem like you were my target, so they backed off. I don't expect you to forgive me or anything, but I'm really fucking sorry, Midoriya. Izuku never expected an explanation from the explosive boy, let alone an apology. But everything he was saying made sense. He was always careful not to hurt him too badly, usually hit him in places that would show, and his explosions were far from the strongest he could produce at the time. You know, Kacchan, deep down, I think I knew you were trying to help. I think it would have been harder for a while, but I don't expect us to become friends. I do forgive you. You were far from the worst of my bullies, and you've shown that you can change. I'm really glad you're in a better place now, Kacchan. Thanks, Izuku. Izuku beams at him. He's finally getting some sort of closure with his old friend. Izuku thinks that in time, they could become friends again, especially with Kirishima's influence over Kacchan. Before Izuku has a chance to dwell on it any further, there's a rustling from the trees, and a hulking form steps out. Ah, how sweet. Both my targets in one place. We finally got the explanation! Woo! So, it was a fucked up, I'm trying to help you way. I can't really be mad at Bakugou. It was not the way to go, but, I mean, in a way, okay, I'm gonna defend Bakugou because I like defending Bakugou, right? It does not excuse his actions, but I'm going to probably draw out the psychology and why I think he came to that conclusion. So, Bakugou found out. What did he do? He told a trusted adult. He told his mother. Probably an adult that he trusts the most to handle with it, right? Because obviously she is friends with Inko. She has more influence. You know, I don't know, right? Whatever it is, he trusts his mother with this information to help Izuku. And that adult failed him. And in that way, that could leave a child, especially a teen, who is figuring out the world, with the sense of, well, fuck. If my trusted adult can't do shit, I need to take things in my own hand, right? This trusted adult that I trusted does not believe me. No one else is gonna believe me. So what am I gonna do? That's how he came to that fucked up conclusion of, if I hurt him just enough and places where it could be shown, maybe Inko won't hurt him, right? It was a drawn out attention to try, right? Obviously it does not excuse his actions, but it is an explanation, and it is interesting how his brain probably processed that, again, as a child, right? So yeah, we got an answer to this. Obviously, we got a Bakugou apology. We love that. I think this wouldn't have worked as great as it's working now if Bakugou had said, off yourself. But because Bakugou did not say that to Izuku and instead it was another bully, I think it works out. Because we're drawn out to believe that Bakugou was not the worst bully. In fact, Bakugou's bullying was he was pulling his punches, right? Which give us the illusion that the Bakugou that we see in the My Hero Academia and his bullying that happened in My Hero Academia does not happen here. Therefore, yes, he could be kind of redeemable a whole lot faster here than in the other one, obviously, right? So, now that we got that out of the way, I love that Izuku is, you know, accepting more of like, yeah, my dad. You know, he's adopting me, my dad. I love that. I just love to see that. I absolutely love it so much. It is breathtaking. It is so adorable, and I'm tearing up. I don't know about you, but I'm tearing up. But yeah, obviously, we got our answer to two things. Obviously, the Bakugou thing, and then who's gonna get kidnapped. I have a feeling it's gonna be both Izuku and Bakugou. And if they both do get kidnapped, trauma bonding. We love trauma bonding. I have a fanfiction where Izuku and Bakugou trauma bond, right? Then again, they trauma bond and are... look, sacrifices have to be made for found family, okay? Sacrifices have to be made for found family. That's all I'm gonna say. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.